Ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to open the meeting again, please. The current item is the presentation from the Eden Park, the periodic one that they get from them. I believe that the Chief Executive of Eden Park, Nick Sontner, is online. Oh, there he is. And I'll welcome the team to the table. I am, given the level of public interest at this stage in some of the things later in the day, I'm just letting you know that we're going to have the Eden Park report, then we'll stop for lunch and we'll reconvene and we'll start with the Western Springs item after lunch. Okay, so just letting people know who have got an interest in that. In the meantime, there's a lovely picture of Eden Park in a pink day. Thank you very much. Welcome, team, and Nick, wherever you are.
Kia ora koutou, good morning everyone. I'm just going to provide a very brief summary of the accompanying agenda report to the Eden Park presentation, then I'll hand over to the presenters, and a copy of this presentation is available to you on Nexus. As His Worship has said, we have Nick joining us online, beaming in from India, so I believe it's about 5:10 in the morning there, so I think Nick's looking remarkably refreshed for that time frame. And we also have here the Chair of the Eden Park Trust Board, Kieran Smith, and Brett Winstanley, who's the Chief Financial Officer. So since the Trust last presented to you in September of last year, they've released their annual report for the year ended 31 October. 2024. So a summary of the key financial results and major event attendance results are in the agenda report, and Eden Park will talk further to this in their presentation. By way of just other updates, the loan balance that the Trust has with the Council remains steady at 48.75 million. There is work underway to address the resolutions that the governing body made in March regarding the main stadium and the in principle endorsement of the Eden Park 2.1 stage redevelopment plans, which are subject to a number of conditions. In November 2024, Eden Park secured consent to increase the number of concerts it can hold annually to 12 concerts. And then finally, last week, after this agenda were closed, the government announced it had made 2 new appointments to the Eden Park Trust Board, the Honourable Simon Bridges and Marama Royal, and they also reappointed the Chair, Kieran Smith, and the Deputy Chair, Bill Burney, through to 2028. So I'm happy to take questions, otherwise I'm proposing to hand over to Nick and the team for their presentation. Thank you.
You go to your presentation first, thank you, and then we'll do questions, unless you've got one about the number of seats you've had at Eden Park.
I've just got a quick question of the presenter. The agenda item refers to the operational partnering proposal. So I just wonder if you could give us some feedback on where that's at.
I'm happy for you to jump in as well, Max, if you like. But in terms of the operational partnering proposal, that was the subject of the resolution back in 2019. And there's been, in terms of the proposal as envisaged by that resolution, that hasn't progressed. But there continues to be discussions around Eden Park and its governance as part of those main stadium resolutions that you made back in March. And so that work is progressing between Eden Park and council staff, and will need to involve government at the appropriate juncture. I don't have any more to add to that unless anyone else does.
And the other quick question is that our resolution in March was that all parties work together to satisfactorily address challenges, and that was around returning the best public value for Auckland and New Zealand. So we're actively engaged with Eden Park around that?
Yes, we are, but I'm happy for Brett and Kieran to talk to that as well.
Thank you.
Thank you for the question. Yes, I can assure you that the matters that were part of the resolution in March are very live. We have regular meetings, myself and Bill Burney and Nick Sontner, with senior management of council, and at from time to time elected representatives. We're also working with government on those matters. They're not simple nor necessarily immediate, but we're really committed to work through those, so ongoing.
Okay, let's have your presentation, please.
Good morning, councillors, and thank you for your time. Brett's going to cover off on the first couple of slides before I'll take you through the remainder of the presentation.
Who has the
Technical, what's it, sorry? At you? Oh, there we go, sorry.
Okay.
Working now, there we go.
Good morning, everybody. I'll just go back one more. Thank you. So I hope you can read that slide. This is the summary of our financial performance. It includes a couple of columns in relation to financial year 2024 and a couple of columns in relation to the current financial year, FY 2025. In the left-hand column, a summary of our annual report as reported. The report was distributed widely, and I would expect that all councillors received a copy. A very pleasing result overall. I would focus your attention on the third line, the net operating profit. We reported a net operating profit of just under $3.7 million in the year. That's before interest and depreciation, so that's an EBITDA equivalent, if you like, which is one of the key standards by which most financial analysts will review financial reports. The second column includes adjustments. Now, in the tiny writing down below, I note that we received the final tranche of grant funding from IMBI for FIFA projects, and I've also made an adjustment for property revaluations. So the impact of the grant received, having taken it out, reduces our net operating profit on a business as usual basis to just over 3.2 million. So still a very comfortable result. Our net interest cost was $655,000, and of course we have a significant depreciation charge, a book entry, which again councillors are probably familiar with from previous reports, which leaves us reporting a net deficit after depreciation. Looking into FY 25, we expected that there might be some economic headwinds affecting everybody at large, and including those people who might be interested in investing some money and coming to Eden Park. So we budgeted a slightly more conservative result than that which we are currently forecasting. We had the benefit of the very successful Coldplay and Luke Combs concerts. We've also had the FIFA qualifier that's in the March financial period. So the forecast for the financial year includes the benefit that we're forecasting for those events, and we're indicating a net operating profit of about 3.5 million, so a small improvement on the prior year. In essence, therefore, we feel that we're going to be ahead of our initial budget indication of a $1.7 million net operating profit. I'll move on to the next slide, which is a summary of major events, and I'll pass over to Nick to give his report.
Thank you, Brett, and thank you for your time to all councillors. It's a pleasure to always come and present, and apologies that I'm not there in person. We have had a solid event calendar, starting out with 2 international cricket fixtures, a Luke Combs, Coldplay, obviously the Blues season, and then I just would like to acknowledge the Super Rugby Aupiki team. Eden Park was a founding sponsor of that team, and they've won now the last 2 premierships in the women's competition. We are looking forward to a horizon that is going to be challenging in the event space. That being said, we have a program of events coming up with 2 All Blacks tests. We delivered the 3 events, the international cricket, the Blues and the Oceania qualifier, 3 events in 4 days, demonstrating the hybrid multi-purpose nature of the business, but also then events that engage with the community, like the world's largest haka. Art in the Park will be back again this year, and Eden Park will take another lead in delivering that event for the people of Auckland and New Zealand. Next slide, please. As far as upcoming events, Eden Park this year has made a decision to actively pursue content that in this instance, the Samoa versus Scotland International is new content for us, whereby we've gone out and secured the content and underwritten that event for the venue and also for the city. We've also got Metallica. For the first time in Eden Park's history, we'll have the Hot Wheels monster trucks. We've almost sold out that event, a novelty event and something different for the park. And then, as mentioned earlier, 2 All Blacks fixtures. The pre-sale went yesterday and was very strong for both South Africa and Australia. And in January next year, we'll have the convention for the Jehovah's Witness in early in the new year. Next slide, please. Part of our presentation focuses on the community engagement and events that are held at the park. I do want to acknowledge the AA Big Little sponsorship. Since 2018, AA Insurance in Eden Park has contributed over $100,000 to schools across New Zealand. This year, over 5,500 nominations were put forward, and just over 1,100 schools participated in that program. The local board has encouraged Eden Park to continue to work with the Muslim community around Eid. This year's Eid event was the largest in its history, but also there's a number of other community events that are held at the venue. I do want to acknowledge that contribution that goes back into the community with over $500,000 worth of cash or in-kind contributions through those events since we last met. That includes the City Mission Christmas Appeal that is held every year at Eden Park, but also events like the Barfoot and Thompson fundraiser for Starship and the Upside Downs event for kids with Down syndrome. Next slide, please. The community engagement has a real focus on the Hood. The Hood is our neighbourhood supporters club. We've installed a $100,000 fortress, a playground for the community, and we have reached out now to the local board to see if there is additions available through a local board funding for that program. We've implemented a new program called the Hood Helpers that are program that engages with the community on event days. We've been now running for over 5 years e-waste collections, and those collections continue to increase, and then engaging with an upcycling program with whether it be musical instruments or indeed sports equipment for people within the community. Next slide, please. As far as sustainability, Council has seen previously that we have over 360,000 bees on site. We have a commitment to sustainability and being world's best practice in that space. Over 18 million litres a year is harvested and irrigates the number 1 and number 2, so no city water is used for the irrigation of Eden Park. Our community composting garden continues to thrive with engagement from the local community, and we are committed to a program of installing LED lighting throughout the entire venue. Next slide, please. Infrastructure upgrades. Thanks to our partnership with Samsung, we've installed 143 metres of new LED technology in the University of Auckland stand. That is now able to give dynamic signage for our partners, but also major events held at the venue. Externally, Councillor Darby will be happy to see that Discover Auckland is featured on a daily basis around the external perimeter with the new technology that has been implemented around the facility. Next slide, please. We are continuing to look at alternate options for new revenue streams. I've mentioned about our partnership with the University of Auckland and also with Samsung. Those partnerships are far more than just a sign on the fence. They include a variety of initiatives with, for example, students from the University of Auckland doing our social media during Coldplay, or indeed the Growing Up in New Zealand program and celebrating that research has been undertaken at the university. We are looking to integrate a number of other programs with the city with over 50,000 students and 11,000 lecturers to ensure that there's value creation between the two organisations. The Lower West Stand has seen an upgrade. It's part one of that upgrade that enables us to have fans on the field for events. New Zealand Cricket this year piloted that program, but also by that adaptive reuse of the Lower West Stand, we now see up to 5,000 additional patrons available for concerts at Eden Park. That saw 15,000 extra tickets across the 3 nights of Coldplay, and seeing close to 180,000 fans across the 3 shows over 4 days. Next slide, please. Majority of councillors would be aware that Eden Park 2.1 and the work that was been undertaken to date in relation to that. It is an adaptive reuse project with a staged approach that is financially responsible and environmentally sustainable. As far as some of the highlights of that program, we look to the CRL being opened in 2026 and under 10 minutes from Eden Park to the CBD. We're encouraged by central government and council conversations around what can be achieved with that program, but also around asset management for the stadium network across Auckland, and seeing investment back into Eden Park for ensuring that we can continue to operate on a scale appropriate for our national stadium. Next slide, please. Aligning upgrades with a proven event calendar is something that we're very focused on. The 2028 Cricket World Cup is something that is going to be hosted between Australia and New Zealand. We want to see the quarterfinal and semi-final at Eden Park, and we need stage 1 of the upgrade to be delivered in order for that content to be secured. There is also other events, the 2026 Indian Cricket Series, the Women's Lions Series in 2027, the potential for events like the State of Origin, and also then the Men's Lions Series in 2029. Next slide, please. The future, it's going to be challenging. We've seen a number of events that have bypassed New Zealand in recent times, with announcements that those events are only coming to Australia and not coming across the ditch. That being said, there is some excitement around, as I mentioned, the CRL, the opportunity for events like the Edinburgh Tattoo. Eden Park has been actively pursuing that event for close to 2 years, and we are still hopeful that that event will come to Auckland and New Zealand. I mentioned around the Indian Tour in 2026, but also the likes of the Women's Lions Series, State of Origin, and World Cup content. I'm not sure if we have any time to play the Eden Park 2.1 video, but otherwise I'm then open to questions. Thank you.
A national stadium is more than just a venue. It's where history is made, where communities unite, and where the world comes to play. To secure New Zealand's place on the global stage, we need a hybrid multi-purpose national stadium that delivers social, economic and cultural benefits to New Zealand, generating jobs, tourism and global events. Centrally located in Auckland and positioned within one of our city's fastest growing hospitality areas, Eden Park will become one of the world's most accessible major stadiums when the City Rail Link opens in 2026. High-capacity frequent trains will link fans to and from the city centre in under 10 minutes. Owned and operated by the Eden Park Trust, our vision is to transform Eden Park into a truly hybrid multi-purpose stadium. Combining state-of-the-art technology and innovative design, Stage 1 will redefine the fan experience. Improvements will enhance the iconic stadium, reimagining the future of live events. Innovative design changes the size and shape of the field. Rugby and football fans will be significantly closer to the action, while capacity will be increased to over 50,000 fans. For cricket, the fully retractable lower seating system will optimise boundary length and field proportions, creating a perfectly circular setting for international games including test matches. With new integrated egress stairs, concert capacity increases to over 70,000. The hybrid stand design will also enable a wide range of other exciting events, both large-scale and intimate. helping bring the major events that Kiwi fans want and deserve. Improvements will incorporate world-leading technology to enhance the food and beverage offerings, creating interactive fan zones through tiered balconies and an Eat Street concourse. Stage 2 involves major upgrades to the North Stand to mirror the South Stand in height and proportion to unify the stadium's appearance. This stage also introduces complementary facilities including a hotel, elevating Eden Park as a full-scale venue for both sports and entertainment. Stage 3 completes the transformation with a retractable roof, bringing Eden Park in line with the world's best all-weather stadiums. This ensures certainty of play and enhanced fan comfort, enabling the venue to host events in any weather conditions. Delivering significantly improved access and experience through an approach that is affordable, stageable and sustainable, these innovative upgrades will strengthen New Zealand's ability to host major global events. Eden Park, New Zealand's national stadium, is our future.
Very good.
Thank you very much.
Okay, any questions? Councillor Darby would like to ask you something.
Thank you. Got a few questions here. Thanks, Mayor. Thanks, Kieran and Nick from India. Hope you're enjoying a morning lassie or something like that there pretty soon, Nick. And Brent, thanks for appearing today. Just in terms of depreciation, I note that depreciation is down by about 60%. And you've explained that in your notes that you've extended the useful life of buildings by 50% from 40 years to 60 years. That's a significant change. Can you just explain how you arrived at that? What information you received from who to extend the useful life of buildings when the redevelopment plan shows, you know, is it the North Stand being removed and a new structure there, and part of the what used to be called the ASB stand, or no, sorry, that's the North Stand, isn't it? The South Stand being removed and replaced, and part of the North Stand being removed to accommodate the redevelopment. Can you just explain how you've arrived at this quite a substantial increase in the useful life of the buildings from 40 to 60 years?
Thanks, Councillor Darby. The Finance Committee undertook a review based on comparative depreciation charges. I believe, for instance, the council uses a 100-year useful life for the basic components of its major stadium structures. So we were well out of alignment, we found, with a number of comparable infrastructures with our 40-year determination. It's clear that the buildings will not have the simple 40-year life, and so it's a matter of arriving at a reasonable adjustment to properly reflect the ongoing life of the buildings. With respect to the future development, the concept is of reuse. So it's clear that there won't be a demolition of the North Stand. The North Stand was built in approximately 1990, so it's now 35 years old. So it was getting close to that 40-year full life cycle. So there's only a small proportion of depreciation outstanding with respect to those areas. So the depreciation change effect on those was relatively minor. So it's more in relation to the South Stand, which was completed in 2009, 2010. It was commissioned in 2011, in fact, the World Cup year. So it's had a 10, 15-year life now. So it's under a 60-year useful life. It's 25% through its useful life. And I think anybody who's been there would suggest that 25% is probably fairly conservative. So that was the basis, and that's the reasoning.
So was that supported by independent advice that the trust received? Was it supported by building assessments on all components that make up the whole Eden Park? I mean, and also I wasn't referring to, and it was my error actually, getting my stands mixed up. It was the west end, the Sandringham Road side stand. That does get, in your development plans, that does get removed entirely and rebuilt?
But it was built in about 1990, so fully depreciated.
It's fully depreciated,
yeah.
Going to the first part.
With respect to independent advice, no, we don't. It's a simple accounting adjustment. Our auditors review our accounts for reasonableness. They didn't have any concerns. As you may recall, in the prior accounts, we made a number of impairment adjustments for assets that had reached the end of their useful life or no longer in use. So it was a fairly comprehensive review of which this was part. No independent advice, just an internal review and a judgment call, basically.
And that impairment was 21 million last time, wasn't it? I think approximately.
Correct. I mean, that included the flood-damaged assets that were being replaced, plus a number of things like the lights that have been replaced, so they're no longer in existence, the former video screens and so forth.
And can you tell us, you've got a clear plan for renewal and a clear source of revenue to meet the renewal requirements?
When you say renewal requirements, what are you referring to?
Okay, for the assets that you're depreciating and you need to renew at specific target points, do you have a plan in place to renew?
Yes, we do. We've got forward projections as to what assets require replacement. Yes, we do.
Okay, and just going to the loan facility, which is of interest to us, it's due for full repayment. It's 48.75 million approximately. It's due for full repayment in just 52 months. If I put it in months, it's not far away. And I note that the deficit is down from 21.3. It's now, I think, at 4.8. What is your pathway to repaying that 48.75 million to council? What is the trust saying, Kieran? What are the discussions at the trust currently about the pathway to repaying the council's 48.7 million?
Well, what I can say is it's very high on our agenda. It's under our conversations that we are having both locally and centrally. I don't think I'm privy, nor is it appropriate for me to go into that, other than to say we are very mindful and focused on addressing the financial future of Eden Park, as well as matters that relate to governance and structure. It's quite a legacy entity, and that's very high on our agenda. So I can assure you we're working very hard on that.
So can we assume that you'd really require some kind of external injection of funds to pay that loan facility down fully, given that you continue to run deficits?
There is a number of elements to what a future financial structure might look like, and that involves conversations with central government around redevelopment, as well as here at the table with Auckland City. So what I can say to you is we're looking at that in its entirety, and are happy to keep you informed.
Okay, yet to be discussed really, isn't it? Okay, just in terms of the $9.5 million grant from some years ago, there was a development agreement on that, and then we had some further discussions which were a bit controversial about screen replacement. How many screens are there at Eden Park currently?
There are 3 super screens at Eden Park.
In 2000,
and if I can finish on that. As you can recall, for Auckland and New Zealand to secure the FIFA Women's World Cup, there is a requirement to have a minimum of 2 screens, and also as part of our consenting process for concerts, we were required to have the acoustic barrier down the eastern end of the stadium. So world's best practice would be that a minimum of 2 screens. We're fortunate that we're in a situation, and it's part of the reason why we've been able to secure events like Coldplay, Ed Sheeran, Billy Joel, Pink, for the people of Auckland and New Zealand.
So, Nick, they were the 2 old screens plus the new one?
Yeah, so we've got screen 1 and screen 3 at the eastern and western end, and then screen 2 is part of the acoustic barrier at the eastern end.
So, but confirming they are the 2 old ones plus the new one?
Yes, correct.
Nick, following on from that, when you discussed that 9.5, some of that 9.5 being allocated to the new screens, the record says that the 2 old screens had reached their end of life date and there needed to be a new screen. So you're telling me now that the screens that you advocated to us for replacement, the argument was you advocated a replacement screen was required because, and it's on the record, in fact the New Zealand Herald still carry comment on this from Eden Park, said they had reached their end of life and a new screen was required. Why is that? I mean, I understand you got the new screen because we gave you the money. Why did that argument not suddenly disappear and the 2 old screens retained, which had reached their useful life?
Sorry, I'm a little confused by the question. That the 2 screens were at end of useful life, and they were failing, and they were required as part of the infrastructure for the FIFA Women's World Cup. So I'm a bit perplexed as to why you would retain a failed asset.
But you say that the old screens were retained, and at the time you said they'd reached their useful life and required replacement, but they haven't been replaced. They're still there.
No, sorry, I think that you're getting confused with the terminology. The 2 screens are still in the same location as they were installed for the Rugby World Cup for 2011. The actual physical screen has been replaced because they'd reached their end of life. So the screen was failing, so the panels, the actual physical panels were replaced as part of that funding arrangement.
Yeah, but I'm looking back, and the argument was that those screens had reached their end of life, and therefore there was an argument for a new screen being the new, I think you call it the Panasonic screen, the big one at the, which end? Western end? No, eastern end. Eastern, yeah. Okay.
No, the funding arrangement, just to be clear, the funding arrangement related to screens 1 and 3, the 2 screens that were required for the FIFA Women's World Cup, the minimum criteria to host the opening fixture and the semi-final was to have those 2 screens, and those 2 screens were installed with the support of council.
Okay, look, I'll look into that further. Just in terms of the redevelopment of the North Stand, the concourse area, on one of your slides it showed Eat Street. Is it proposed that there be like a wider concourse in the North Stand, which is quite a constricted area at the moment? And does that currently satisfy, FEN's requirement, fire and safety requirement?
Yeah, just to confirm that, so there was 2 earlier comments that I just want to clarify. The West Stand remains, and Eden Park 2.1 is an adaptive reuse of existing infrastructure. So you mentioned earlier that the West Stand would go. That is incorrect, and I just need to clarify that point. About approximately $1 million has been invested into that space for the FIFA Women's World Cup, particularly around the West Stand Loyalty Lounge. As far as your question in relation to the North Stand, you would have seen on the video, to enable Test match cricket at Eden Park, the hybrid multi-purpose facility with the 13-minute retractable stands in the lower North Stand, giving you that extra flexibility for both rugby and cricket. So getting to within 12 metres for rugby, and then for cricket, extending the boundary to be fully compliant for test match cricket. A second concourse similar to that on the south stand would be installed in the middle of the lower north stand bowl. So then you would have two complementary concourses. That then enables that conversation around a capacity of between 5,000 and 70,000. So for NPC games, opening only the lower North Stand Bowl in the TV arc, with access and enabling up to 4,000 additional plated meals in the Hall of Legends and Museum. Eden Park currently delivers in 30 minutes approximately 6,500 plated meals ahead of an All Blacks test, with over 3,000 employees deployed. So this is an opportunity to generate additional revenue, but also provide an enhanced user experience for our fans.
Okay, thank you, Nick. I'll leave it there. Thank you.
Sounds very exciting. Councillors Dalton, please.
Thank you, and thank you for your presentations. My question for the board was just referring to the upcoming events in the presentation around the State of Origin, T20 and Men's Lions Tour, which you will be forecasting out in terms of your budgets. I'm just wondering about any concerns you might have around the sustainability of being able to go and pitch for those events. So do you pitch for those events in partnership with Tātaki or with council, and you're aware that there's uncertainty around the continuation of the funding to go out to grab those events?
You start, Nick.
Thanks, Kieran. Well, we're very concerned. Without an event fund, Auckland and New Zealand will continue to lose major content. And we've seen that in recent times with the likes of Lady Gaga not coming to New Zealand. We've seen it with the likes of Wrexham not coming to Auckland. The challenge is that we've got governments in Australia, and it's widely reported. Coldplay, when they played in Perth, $4 million per show was allocated. The Western Australian government allocates $30 million to Optus Stadium alone for an event fund. You look to Victoria, New South Wales and Brisbane with the content that has been taken, and we need support in a form, whatever form that may be, because as we know, when Pink and Coldplay were in town, over 90% of hotel rooms were full. And I spoke to one hotel operator that talked about a $300 increase in per night as a result of the event calendar that Eden Park have brought to the city. So I have no confidence in the future event calendar and the likes of events like the State of Origin. Eden Park is not in a position to underwrite events of that scale, and we do need support.
Thank you. Thank you, Nick.
Good question, good answer. John Watson, please.
A question for you, Nick, and it follows on from the section in the agenda referring to development plans. And I assume councillors were watching that visual fly-through of stage one, because it, certainly I've looked at it into a bit more detail since that decision that was made unanimously, I think, by this council, and it refers to the redevelopment of the lower north stand and this innovative retractable system. So I really want you to spell out in black and white what this system now means in terms of the ability to cater for different size crowds. I think you say in your brief there from 5,000 to 70,000. And when I look at the graphics, you've got a rugby game of 50,000 plus, a cricket game of 40,000 plus. Then with the retractable seating, you go into kind of boutique offering for graduation, beach volleyball, X Games, pickleball, etc., etc. So I'm assuming that with this new retractable system and the progressions in technology of lighting, Eden Park, under the proposal this council backed unanimously now has the ability to cater for crowds for any code, any sport, any activity from 5 through to 70,000. Is that correct?
Thank you for your question. I do feel very privileged to have worked in the industry for over 25 years. When I started in the industry in 2000, retractable stands at Marvel Stadium in Melbourne took over 24 hours to install. Moving forward to the installation of retractable stands at Eden Park in 2011, those stand the lower south stand takes approximately 3 hours to do. The new technology now enables the movement of the stands within 13 minutes. So those advancements has meant that a country of 5 million people, a city of 1.7 million people, there is only one option, a hybrid multi-purpose stadium for our market. If we're a city of 10 million people, I'm sure we'd have a second crossing to the North Shore and a whole variety of other infrastructure in Auckland. But that's not the case, and it's not the case anytime soon. So what we've been able to deliver with the support of council over the last 5 years is change our consenting, engage with the community, have over 97% support, have over 150 businesses, 12 schools and 1,500 residents as part of our program, The Hood, to see additional activity at the park. We were previously operating under 5% utilisation and 95% idle capacity. We still have a lot of work to do, but our ability to now implement new technologies with investment and the only major upgrades at Eden Park over its history have related to major event content. The Men's Rugby World Cup, the central government gave $190 million support. Council committed to $50 million in funding, but when it came to pay, they backed out. And Eden Park has that $50 million of debt. For the FIFA Women's World Cup, central government put $4.5 million into the venue, including the replacement of the LED lights. That is a great story in terms of what it can do for a sustainability perspective, but also the impact on the residential amenity. Our lights now can switch off immediately rather than taking 15 minutes to warm up and cool down. So we welcome the opportunity now to work with Auckland Council, following the agenda and the discussions previously around the investment strategy in stadiums, what's best, a venue of best fit, and what's best for Auckland, and how Eden Park can tap into that funding to ensure that we can continue to operate and secure events, and harnessing the CRL, the $6 billion investment, and a 7-minute trip to the CBD after or before an event at our national stadium.
Okay, thank you. A couple of quick follow-up, Mr Mayor, if you don't mind. So in terms of that proposal that we supported unanimously, in 13 minutes, then a 50,000-seater stadium can be transferred into a 12,000-person stadium within 13 minutes, where people are sitting 12 to 14 metres from the action.
That's correct.
Final question, in terms of stage 4, I noticed in stage 4, and I think I saw it on the visual there. No, stage 4 I'm talking about. There's plans for a multi-sport entertainment facility, which included the possibility, the option of another boutique stadium. Actually got a boutique stadium as it stands under stage 1, but if you have a purpose-built one, you also has that in your plans. In fact, I think I saw it was soccer markings when I looked at the visual there in terms of what is envisaged in stage 4. Is that correct also, Nick?
So the outer oval is a critical asset for the community. We'd like to see greater utilisation. Under 2.1 planning, there is a master plan for the precinct, a Sports Plus precinct, tapping in with a footbridge into the Kingsland Railway Station that we hope to rename Naianawai and Eden Park Station in future. But the outer oval is up for discussion. Obviously, we have commitments with Auckland Cricket currently. We do think that with the schools and the intensification in the area, the green space is important, so retaining that in some form. The design for the outer oval is concrete bleachers and then harnessing the existing change rooms from the number 1 and then food trucks on the concourse with facilities underneath. That needs to obviously be tested in terms of the financial model for the outer oval, but our focus has been working with council and central government on 2.1 planning, the ROEI process, and then the stage 1 of the North Stand, to ensure that we don't miss out on the T20 Cricket World Cup semi-final and quarter-final.
Thank you, and every other sport in between and crowd in between too, going by that retractability. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for that. Councillor Walker.
Sure. So, harking back to that slide where you indicated that really important content coming up, particularly around cricket. If Eden Park gets the support of the government, and you would assume also the support of Auckland Council, are we going to be on track to deliver stage 1 so we can meet some of those requirements? And obviously that'll have a huge impact on hotel room bookings in Auckland and so on.
Well, the 2026 Indian tour is what we'd like to see being held at Eden Park. Excuse me. It's a tough time frame in terms of the works that have been undertaken, but we know that New Zealand cricket is motivated for those fixtures to be held at Eden Park. Moving forward then to 2028, the T20 format is the biggest format in the world for cricket now, and it would be a disaster if New Zealand misses out on a semi-final and quarter-final of that tournament because we hadn't done the work at Eden Park. And so we've seen the benefits of the 3 Women's World Cups in a 2.5-year period. And what that has done, it's a paradigm shift for women's sport in the country. Football crowds and what we've seen with the football community as a result of that legacy that tournament delivered. So we are committed and relentless in our pursuit to ensure that Auckland and New Zealand can host those tournaments.
The other question I've got just goes to working with the council and best for Auckland. So is Eden Park going to be in a situation where it's working with officers, and given that, for example, we've tipped 75 million on the part of Auckland Council into our stadiums, Mount Smart, Western Springs, North Harbour, that's capital. And then there's the losses that they all make each year, which are in the millions. Is Eden Park going to be in a situation where you can factor that in so that on our council's part, if Eden Park is really not costing us anything substantial, in fact, we've put very little effort into Eden Park, yet it's providing a huge amount of capacity in Auckland. Is there a possibility that we might have some contribution from council on a best for Auckland basis? Is that what you'd hope?
Well, that's probably a question for Phil and his team, but we've been encouraged with the conversations with all levels of council since the resolution, the 2 resolutions were passed by the governing body. We are proud to be part of Auckland, and we know the role that we can play for the city. So, we believe that the resolution was clear, that management can work with Eden Park on assessing opportunities for that access to that funding and what's best for the city.
And the other question just goes to Eden Park's ability to progress stage 1 and then ideally stage 2 and stage 3 and stage 4. Quite obviously our council has endorsed this and you would hope that we put some value on having a retractable roof in a stadium in Auckland, which we don't presently have. In the situation where that investment path is dependent on content, and where that content goes and where investment goes in Auckland, what concern does Eden Park have around the later item in the agenda, which is dealing with an investment in another stadium, which is Western Springs, and that investment, whatever it looks like, will effectively be directing content to that stadium, and will that content impact on Eden Park and its ability to have this investment to realise what's best for Auckland? And I'd refer you to point 6 of that later agenda, where it does mention that council officers have reviewed the expression of interest process, sought additional input from a number of entities, but also including Eden Park Trust. And it also makes the comment in the next point, point 7, materially contribute to council's desired stadium network outcomes. We don't have a stadium network outcome at this point. We haven't formulated that, but what comment would Eden Park make around that process, and obviously the necessity to have content to drive investment for the marvellous things that you're proposing for Auckland?
Well, it's a detailed question, and what I would say is that our focus has been on Eden Park and the outcomes that we can deliver for the city and for the country. I understand that there is a public consultation process proposed around that. Auckland Council staff and officers have engaged with the park around that process. We haven't provided detailed feedback, as our priority is being focused on obviously 2.1 planning, but also Auckland Cricket and Colin Maiden Park arrangements for Auckland Cricket.
Just further to that, and to finalise, just to say that from the Eden Park Trust Board's point of view, we want to work as a team player within the Auckland city and environment. Our biggest competition shouldn't be ourselves, it's the rest of the world and Australia probably. So, to answer your question, we're ready to be part of any conversation that would improve access to resources, content, and bring economic and social impact into the city. So that's where we sit on that.
If I can comment as well. I mean, it's entirely proper that Eden Park has a view and a voice in this process, and as Chair Kieran and Nick have indicated, we do have discussions going on. The decision of the governing body around the Eden Park proposal means that we need to get serious in terms of that discussion. But make no mistake, this is coming back to you in terms of what any investment decision looks like around Eden Park proposals.
Through you, Mr. Chair, the reason I mention this is the later item makes no mention, no contestable advice around the impact on the network, makes no mention of the impact on Mount Smart, North Harbour Stadium, or Eden Park for that matter. Yet this is something that we're going out to Aucklanders for them to consult on. And if they're consulting on propositions that hollow out content elsewhere and don't enable a pathway that goes through stage 1 to 4 for Eden Park, which realises a retractable roof, which would be a phenomenal thing for Auckland, then that's a significant shortcoming. And I don't know what engagement there's been with Eden Park around that. I doubt that there's been much. So I don't know what comment you want to make on that, but it is of concern.
The only comment I have is that let's not get ahead of ourselves. We've got a consultation process being recommended in that paper. Decisions come later, including with input from other stakeholders.
Thank you very much for that. Councillor Ferry, please.
Thank you. Councillor Dalton asked one of my questions. I would just note in regard to the conversation we've just been having that actually on, what are we on? Page 29 of the attachments, it notes under improved financial sustainability for the next item, and sorry, I know we're going to talk about it then, this development is likely to have a negative impact on other stadiums across the network as games, training and office tenants potentially move, blah, blah, blah. It is actually referred to several times in that item. So I look forward to debating that when we get to that. The question I had though for you, Nick, and the team, was around the increased number of day games for rugby. And, it used to be that Super Rugby in particular was almost always held night games, which had more of an impact on the neighbourhood. And the shift to the mix of day and night games, I was fortunate to attend the Blues versus Moana Pacifica game, paid for my own tickets, just for the record, and had a great experience in the family zone, having not been with the kids before. Or I took one kid, but my friends took more kids, so there were quite a few of us. And it was a bit of a revelation, actually, for what a nice environment it is during a day game, having had some poor experiences in night games some years back. So I just wondered if you had some comment there on the day product, if you like, in that rugby space in particular, and how you see that playing out in the future, no pun intended. Thanks.
Thanks for the question, Councillor. In terms of the scheduling of fixtures, unfortunately, Eden Park has limited ability to influence the timing of the fixtures. We provide feedback to our partners, including the Blues. What I would say is that the broadcast right dictates a lot of the time when games are played, but the Super Rugby is very mindful of the focus on families and the need to have broad appeal. So we want to make, as an example, that Auckland Derby a sellout fixture every year between Moana Pacifica and the Blues. And so how we can do that and what time the game is played. And I do want to acknowledge that for the second time, we've held the Pacifica Hall of Fame at Eden Park. And that all arose out of a relationship with Moana Pacifica last year. So, yes, family-friendly time, there's no question. Afternoon rugby, we've seen it with Auckland FC in their earlier times at Go Smart Stadium, and the impact that's had on the crowd. So it's definitely on our agenda. We want to ensure that we maximise attendances because that has a downstream impact on the food and beverage outlets in the area and the vibe of the city.
Thank you. Just to follow up on that, my experience when I lived in Kingsland as well, near the stadium, which is some years ago now, was that often some of the behaviour in the neighbourhood around some of those night games, and of course this will have improved, I'm sure, over the years, people would turn up just before the game and often preload and things like that. Whereas, with that Moana Pacifica game in particular, there was the Pacifica Festival at the venue beforehand. There was much, those kinds of things are taken into consideration. So I guess just some appreciation for how that plays out for the neighbourhood too, as well as the experience for visitors coming to a game. Thanks.
What I would say is that there's no question that behaviour has changed. When supermarkets weren't open on weekends and rugby was the only game in town, people went and preloaded, came to games and probably went to facilities after the event. Now, people have busy lives, and what I would say is that we monitor the external environs. I spoke as part of the Hood Helpers, having resources external on the streets, a hotline for residents to call. A number of residents in the area who are observers for us, and it's very rare now that we have antisocial behaviour on the streets external to the park. The infrastructure upgrades external to the venue for the Rugby World Cup, that includes our control room having access with Auckland Transport cameras, the Smart City program, and a number of other lighting upgrades that has seen improvements to that overall experience from the seat from the street to the seat, and then vice versa.
Great, thanks, Nick.
Thank you for that. Councillor Newman, please.
Yes, thank you. My question, just going back to the debt for a moment. I mean, my understanding of that debt is it's a legacy debt that was applied to the board prior to the 2011 Rugby World Cup, and that parties that did so have effectively either walked away from the commitments around that, some have expired, but you as the trust board, despite the fact that people did walk away, has continued to at least make all of the interest payments on that debt facility, on that loan facility, and that is appreciated. My question, just going back to the P&L, I would imagine that the EBITDA results that Eden Park is achieving would be probably the best EBITDA results for any stadia in New Zealand. Do you have any insight as to if any other stadia anywhere is doing even close to you in terms of an EBITDA result like that?
Well, thank you for the question. Yes, we are the benchmark, certainly in New Zealand and even across the ditch, across venues in Australia. Most of the venues in Australia receive state government and federal government funding, whether it be for CapEx or OpEx. So we are very proud for the outcomes and financial results that we deliver. As far as the question around the 50 million, we continue to pay interest on that 50 million. As part of the REOI process, we had independent analysis delivered to say that the investment in Eden Park in 2011 has delivered over $1 billion of economic benefit for the city. So that is something that, if you look at a multiplier in terms of the investment versus the return, is significant. As far as rates, Eden Park pays full rates. That differs from the other venues across New Zealand. So it isn't a level playing field. We see ourselves as a public good asset, no different to a public library or indeed the War Memorial. And we do hope that in future that the venue can work closely with both council and central government to deliver better outcomes for the city. We are very proud of what we can deliver for the city and the exposure that the venue can provide and the tourism benefits and employment opportunities arising from our national stadium.
Okay, so would you be forecasting that probably financial year 2024 would probably be the benchmark for what you could achieve if you get a steady pipeline of content in Auckland to be able to ensure that you have the event offerings available for Eden Park to host? Or is there do you think you can go better than that? Or where do you think, what's the stretch for you that you could sustainably deliver?
Well, there's no question the experience economy is a focus. People wanting premium events and wanting to attend and share on social media, but be part of those events as whether it be a friendship group or a whānau. So the real challenge for us is that even markets like India are seeing the benefits of the event economy. And so they're actively pursuing content. We've seen the likes of Ed Sheeran and Coldplay play in the Indian market. When Coldplay went on sale in India, 13 million people in the queue to purchase the tickets. So it's a very competitive environment. When artists come to New Zealand, they're going to come to Eden Park because of our capacity, because of the facilities, and because of the proximity to the city, but also whether it be for freight, etc. We want to maximise the return for them, but also the return for the city and the venue. As far as the event calendar, there is still challenges around our resource consent. It's not 12 concerts that we have access to. It's 6 artists with up to 2 performances each or 4 performances or whatever it might end up being, but it's not 12 individual artists. We still have the ability to go to the Countdown in Dominion Road till 11 o'clock on a Sunday, but we can't have cricket or a concert on a Sunday night. So there is work that needs to be done, and we look forward to working with council as part of whether it be the unitary plan or indeed a plan change process to get those changes amended.
Thank you, Chair.
Okay, Deputy Mayor Simpson.
Thanks, Your Worship. Nick, I just want to start by thanking you for your contribution to the local economy, the local community, to Auckland and in fact the country. And I mean that both socially, environmentally, culturally and economically. I know that the purpose of today is to report on the resolutions, but I don't think you should be afraid to hide your light under a bushel. And I just want to give you an example. I was speaking to the Newmarket Business Association manager who says, you know, we try and do events locally to encourage more economic growth in our businesses, but Eden Parks puts on Coldplay and our businesses go up $500,000. So, you know, the economic benefit to business associations and other parts of Auckland is significant. You mentioned the figure of about $1 billion. And I don't think you should be afraid to talk more about that. So my question, because I've got to make it a question, is never be afraid to go outside your brief when you come and talk about your successes and what you're achieving, because it's outstanding and I just want to congratulate you. Thank you.
Thank you very much for your comments. I'm very proud of the team and what we're able to deliver.
Councillor Henderson.
Yes, I have a question. Following on, I think so. Following on from Councillor Dalton's question around major events funding, just briefly, just want to take advantage of your extensive expertise in the area. And could I just ask you what happens if the pipeline for major events gets cut due to lack of funding? What sort of lead-in times would we be talking to dial the major events program back up when funding gets secured?
Well, some events we worked on some events for up to 6 years, but in recent times the lead time for concert content is between as far as 18 months and as short as 6 months. So we continue to miss out on opportunities. Andrea Bocelli was a live opportunity, but we weren't able to even consider putting in a bid for that event. So there's a variety of genres that we're missing out on, and I think it's devastating for our city. We want a city that people want to live, stay, play, and work, and major events provide a catalyst for a whole range of other social benefits.
Thank you.
Just
Thanks
further
so
to
much.
that, sorry, just to add to Nick's point, significant global sporting events will be 6+ years. So their bids are competitive. You have to be in the market proactively, and that's relying on relationships prior. So I think there's a different mix of timelines depending on whether it's a platform, pinnacle international sports event, or it's a concert and or other types of gatherings such as the Jehovah's Witness event, which is a substantial event but of a different nature.
Okay, I've got Councillor Foley and Councillor Fletcher left, please.
Kia ora, thanks Chair, and thanks Nick and the team for your presentation as well. I just wanted to pick up on the social benefits that Eden Park Trust provides for the city, and I accept that you're bidding to be the national stadium, but you are already the stadium for our city, the major stadium for our city. Just interested if you could talk a little bit more, because you've got quite a good presentation there about the community things you've been doing more and the hood collabs you've been doing. Could you just explain a little bit, in a bit more detail, your attempts to reach out to communities in South Auckland? Because physically we're quite far away from Eden Park, but I know that there may be opportunities for community groups in South Auckland to be more involved with Eden Park and to see and have that ownership of Eden Park as, their park, as well as not just belonging to Central Auckland. So if you could just talk a bit more about those opportunities that you've provided. Kia ora.
Kia ora, and thank you very much for the question. Yes, there is the opportunity for organisations across all of Auckland to engage with the park. Over 70% of our catering team of Māori and Pacific background. And when we look at that in itself, we want to focus on the opportunities and the educational pathways that the venue can provide. And that is whether it be providing opportunities for groups to come in and utilise the asset for exercise, whether it be putting on events at a nature of a community event that we provide free of charge access to the facilities. I mentioned earlier around some of the groups and doing fundraising, so over $500,000 has been raised from fundraising activities through the park. That often includes, we can't give obviously cash, but what we can do is give, whether it be vouchers through our stadium glamping or rooftop tours, etc. But also giving groups the experience to come in and have tours of the park, seeing the opportunities for groups to get engaged with the park, whether it be through our cleaning, security, catering. There's a whole variety of work streams there and opportunities. I mentioned up to 3,000 people employed on a major event day at the park. And a lot of the time, and during our concert consent process, we talked about the percentage of staff that it is a second job. And so that was why it was so important for us to be able to get, whether it be Saturday or Sunday shows, so that those individuals could have a second job and a second opportunity to earn employment. So there are a number of groups. I apologise, I don't have all of those in front of me that we have engaged with from the likes of South Auckland to come into the park and engage with the facility.
Kia ora, Chair.
Okay, Councillor Fletcher, who wishes to move this, I believe.
Oh, thank you, Your Worship. My question is to Eden Park and to you, Nick. You've heard from others. It's the first time formally, as I remember, that you have reported to us on performance since September last year. The question is specifically around why has the runway towards achieving this performance been so difficult for you, and what are the biggest challenges looking ahead other than the matters of rates and everything else you've already referred to in response to Councillor Newman?
So thank you for the question. Content is king, and it delivers and drives our revenues. So when we look at the business today, 70% of attendance and also revenue wasn't part of the business model 9 years ago. When you look at the introduction of our Icon Partner Program, our corporate suites, new product offerings in our membership and corporate spaces, and obviously the introduction of concerts and the sweating of the asset to diversify our utilisation. But the reality is that it's a very competitive market. We need to be able to provide that pipeline of content so that then it generates that interest and exposure, whether it be for our brands. What I would say is a customer like New Zealand Rugby, sadly that we've seen that there's been some misinformation around the returns around New Zealand Rugby and games being taken overseas. Eden Park provides an outstanding financial return for New Zealand Rugby, and when you look to the performances, the All Blacks are 30 years without a loss at Eden Park, 50 straight. It is the fortress and it is the home, and we want to see an extension of our relationship with New Zealand Rugby, and we welcome that in future because rugby is central to our business model and central to the New Zealand DNA. So I could probably go through our strategic plan from our number one priority being our community and our number 9 priority, not in any number order, in terms of embracing diversity and inclusion. And all of those priorities are going to be challenged over the next 5 years because of a variety of circumstances, both internally and externally.
Thank you very much for that, Nick. Councillor Fletcher's moving this, so I'm happy to second that. We receive your thing, and we will, all those in favour, please say aye.
Aye.
Contrary, I know Councillor Darby, has preserved the right to have
Have the questions concluded, have they?
Actually, they sounded like debates or love affairs to me, with the exception of yours, so you've earned the right.
I wanted to make a comment when
Please.
the time is ready.
Well, hold up, he's correct, he's entitled to do that. You three please retire. And it was going about 11-1 in favour, and off we go. You can have a crack there, Councillor Darby, please.
Thanks, Chair. I have a request of the Chief Executive. And Sarah, this is not a reflection upon you, but I actually do think the report supporting the Eden Park appearance requires more. I'm very watchful of the $48.7 million that is due to be paid, as I point out, in just 52 months. We haven't got any information or clarification as to the pathway to paying that down. I have pointed out that the depreciation arrangement at Eden Park has changed substantially, with the useful life of buildings being extended from 40 to 60 years. I would have expected that to be highlighted in the report. It hasn't been. I'm stressing here, Chief Executive, that we've got something that's due to us which is significant in budget, and I expect that 48.7 is signalled in our 10-year budget for coming in. I'd actually like it confirmed that it is signalled in the current 10-year budget for coming in to be repaid. I would expect so. But the main point I'm making is that in future reports supporting Eden Park's annual report, I think there needs to be more attention from our side, more analysis and more advice through the reporting.
Fair enough.
I note that.
I think also you raise a good point. If you have extended the length of the life, then the depreciation should go down, but it keeps going up, which is surprising to me. I own commercial buildings, and I'm only allowed to claim 2%. At 2%, that values this place at $400 million of fixed asset. Don't know whether that's true or not, but so next time we'll address some of those things and have a more prosaic return. Thank you very much, Nick Sautner. I have a comment from Councillor Hills to be followed by you.
Thank you, Mayor. I didn't have any questions because it's mostly comment, and I didn't want to do that in questions. It's just a bit of a congratulations to Nick and the team, and you know what they do is what Aucklanders want. And we have a massive stadium in our city doing great work, as well as the stadiums that are part of the council family. I hope after the decision, which my frustrations were obvious, that we made everyone go through a process that was, in my opinion, a bit of a moot point before and after. But now that that decision has passed, I can hope this relationship improves and we sit around different tables, not this one where it feels like poor Nick and his board and everyone are on the stand. That when I talk to Nick, his team, even his family, all they want to do is give good content and creative outlets for our city and for the people in it. And I feel like some of the questions on all sides of all debates to Nick and the board and the team are pulling him into politics and pulling him into to jabs at each other. And I think he just wants to do his job. That I'm not speaking for anyone, but I think often the questions, like all issues around stadiums in this place for the last 900 years, seem to become so political, and it's really just about Aucklanders and what they want to see in our city. So I'm not speaking for Nick or his team, but I just think, and I hope, as we move forward, we can just work together as opposed to all these weird little jabs and questions. And because my private conversations with Nick, he's just like, I just want to provide stuff for Aucklanders, and that's what we should be doing too. So, kia ora.
Thank you. Very good indeed. Councillor Filipaina, please.
Thank you, Chair. And I wasn't going to speak, but then I thought the urge to. I agree with what Councillor Darby is saying and the directive that he's given the CEO, but I think most importantly as well is that we need to have information in those reports around the benefit that that loan has and what it has given to Auckland, to Tāmaki Makaurau. So if we're going to have a look at what is owing, we need to then also have a look at the benefits that have been gained since that loan was afforded, for want of a better term, to Eden Park. Because based on the information that we've seen today, those benefits have been excelled, but it's important. It's important to balance that up. So that's really only my directive and my request to the CEO, if there's going to be any information around the loan, is how much benefits that Tāmaki Makaurau has gained as a result. Kia ora.
Thank you very much for that. It's an interesting financial argument. I'm now going to put the motion, which has been moved and seconded. All those in favour, please say aye. Aye. To the contrary, thank you very much for attending, Nick Sautner. Going back to bed in India. It's been a very good presentation. And I am now going to adjourn the meeting at 1:10 till 20 to 2. And we will recommence with the item about the Western Springs EOI. Thank you very much.
Thank you.